Welcome to our inaugural edition of Inside Moyne Athletics. I'm your host, Kenny Copps, and for our first segment today, I'm joined by Athletic Director Matt Bassett. Matt, how's it going? Nice to have you.
Awesome. Thanks for taking time out of your day to put this thing on for us, Kenny.
And the first thing I want to talk to you about is some of the big news from the Moyne over the last year or so. Last February, it was announced that we were going D2 across the board. So can you walk us through how that process has been and where we're at right now with that?
Yeah, so really it was about 2 years ago when the process began I think many of your viewers are aware, began as kind of an all-campus conversation, really focused on, what is strategically the best alignment for us in terms of divisional classification. At that time, not only did we have our women's lacrosse program and our men's baseball program competing at the Division I level, but we were kind of a hybrid in some of our other sports as well. Swimming was competing against mainly Division III schools, cross country, and golf were a little bit of a hybrid model. And so it was the time was right, and the conversation was important for our school to really focus on, where we should go to help brand the institution. And you're right. Last February, it was decided that Division II was the right place. And so we've been working hard over the last year on really trying to speed up that process of transitioning all of our programs into Division II. And Tim Fenton, who's our associate director, who works closely with the NCAA on a lot of issues, last year was able to very quickly transition our women's lacrosse program into Division II and the NE10 conference, where we were granted a schedule and also were very successful, securing a waiver that allowed for us to compete in postseason competition right away. We went through that identical process with baseball this winter, where we secured a conference schedule. Next year they'll be playing 28 games. This being baseball's last year as a Division I independent. But secured a 28-game conference schedule for next year, and also just last week learned that we were granted the identical waiver we were fortunate enough to get for our women's lacrosse program. So basically, we're fully aligned. Swimming has refocused its scheduling efforts onto Division II, as have some of our other individual sports. So it really creates this platform, I think, for us to really now determine what is excellence, just how good can we be nationally in terms of our reputation as an athletic department at Division II level.
Sounds like a lot of good news for Moyne on the D2 level. Some more good news in case you missed it. There's a brand new, gorgeous turf stadium out there by the Athletic Center, which is awesome. Are there any other plans on the horizon for more physical changes to the structure of our athletic department?
Yeah, those ideas, they never end, right? I mean, we've got to be progressive, and we've got to continue to meet the needs of our coaches and our student athletes when it comes to training. Times have really changed over every decade. It seems things are changing in terms of the requirements that student athletes and coaches have for training. And these young people are training from the time they get on campus to the time they get their diplomas, and we've got to have facilities that help them meet those needs. So we're very fortunate that we're able to open up the turf field last fall. The spring sports have been taking advantage of that. It's kind of, other schools maybe they've already been out there looking at green turf for a few years, but for us to look out there and see baseball taking fungals and, lacrosse out there playing with snowbanks around them. It's kind of a neat thing for us. And today to see the sun out and stare at a green field in the midst of what on any other, on its best day I guess you would consider a tundra out there. So yeah, that's been a real advantage for us, and we've got to continue to roll those advantages out in our other sports. Right now we're really focused on developing a strength training room dedicated to our athletes and some of the needs they have, which is really specific and a little bit different than the overall campus recreation and wellness program. We're focused on that piece, focused on our outdoor, completing a master plan for our outdoor facilities, which includes relocating our softball field, and are hopeful to get that work underway here in the spring. We have to replace some tennis courts. So there is a lot of work left to be done, and maybe pretty soon we'll be calling the turf field the old turf field. I don't know, but right now it's a new turf field. We're happy to enjoy the benefits of it.
And I want to change gears now a little bit and talk about our athletes' academic excellence. We have consistently high grade point averages, high graduation rates. So can you talk about our success in the classroom?
Yeah, sure. It's a really easy thing to talk about. I mean, from an institutional perspective, uh, our institution attracts high-profile kids in terms of being balanced in their academics and athletic, foundation before they get here. And our coaches are really good at understanding that profile and going out and recruiting high-quality kids that meet that profile. So, I think we have a running record of 13 consecutive semesters where our students have achieved 3.0 or better. I know in the fall term, we have more than 50% of our athletes that were recognized as recipients of our Northeast 10 Honor Roll Award. So we continue to perform very well in the classroom. I think it's a result of just really the kind of effort our coaches put in identifying those students who not only can compete at a very high level, but also understand the balance of performing well in the classroom.
And one last thing for you, Matt. It's a question from Brian in New York City, and he wonders, are there any plans to add more sports, such as football, field hockey, track and field, or ice hockey?
Yeah, we'll add them all. And actually, no, it's an important question, right? I mean, it kind of leads into the idea of our transition and our reclassification into Division II. It gives us really a wonderful opportunity to really reflect on who we are and what our offerings are. Are we the right size? Are our rosters the right size? Are our sport offerings the right size? So clearly now that we've created this platform where for the first time we have this uniform Division II appearance, it now becomes the next step of that is to really to investigate that. Do we have the right sport offerings? What is the right thing for our climate up here? What's the right thing for the size of our school? And that process has been underway. I don't have anything to announce formally in that way, but Brian's question is appropriate and one that we are focused on.
All right, thanks, Matt. Thanks for your time. We'll take a break and be back with men's basketball coach Steve Evans. And we're back here on Inside Moyne Athletics. Kenny Kopp's here now with men's basketball coach Steve Evans. Your season's winding down now, and you've had a very young team this season. You lost a lot of senior leadership and one of the best players all time in Lawrence Paragon. But the team's come along pretty well, I'd say. What's it been like coaching a young team this year?
It's been a lot of fun, actually. I think the play of our freshmen, the two that are starting, Jim Jansen, who actually redshirted last year, along with Nate Champion, both those guys have given us significant minutes as freshmen, and I think the play of Kevin Roth has been not surprising, but definitely more than we could have hoped for. And when he plays well, we always have a chance to win.
And Kevin Roth, a multiple Conference Player of the Week selection. Jim Jansen, now you're reigning Northeast 10 Freshman of the Week, so you're getting a lot of production from all across the lineup. And you mentioned Kevin Roth. He scored his 1,000th point a couple weeks ago. So did junior Chris Johnson. So what are those accomplishments like for them, and what's it mean to you as a coach to see a couple of players hit that milestone?
Well, I think anytime you have players that get 1,000 points, it's usually because they're playing with some other good players. Over the course of Kevin's career, playing alongside Lawrence Paragon made his job a little bit easier. Chris Johnson playing also with Lawrence and Kevin, kids that can score inside. That allows him to shoot a little bit more open than he would be if he was the only guy that you have to worry about. So ultimately, when somebody gets 1,000 points, I think it's a more reflection sometimes of playing on a good team, or sometimes if you're playing on a really bad team and you're the only guy that can score. So in this case, over the last 3 years, to have the numbers that we've had, kids getting 1,000 points, it usually correlates to a team that's winning and doing a lot of good things on the floor.
Just one regular season game left for your guys, and you're guaranteed a spot in the conference tournament against St. Michael's. How are you going to prepare for that game after losing in the first round last year?
Well, I think it's a whole different team. It's a new it's a new experience for some of our guys getting a chance to play in the playoffs. Our St. Rose game tomorrow night is the most important game on our schedule. We're approaching it that way. It's nice to know that we're in the playoffs. A week ago, we weren't sure where we'd end up. Now we're talking about if we win, there's a good chance we have a home game. So the opportunity to play St. Michael's, whether it be here or on the road on Saturday, is exciting. And it's the start of a new season for us, a playoff season, one of which you just have to get hot for 1 week. And if you can do that, you get a chance to play in the NCAA tournament.
Overall for the season, your record's 12-13, 10-11 in conference play, so you get a win in your final game. You finish the season at 500, which is always a solid season. And you got off to a bit of a slow start this year, but 6 of your 13 losses have been by 4 points or less, so you've been in pretty much every game you've played in. How is that going to help this young team going forward to next year and then the next year?
Well, 7 of them were wins, too. So let's be positive when we talk about things. The fact that we've been in so many close games and our kids have won games 4 points or less, that's good. It's a good thing because I think as much as it's an uncomfortable situation to be in a close game, we've been in so many this year. Our kids, not that we're expecting it, we'd love to have a blowout like we had the other night, but if it comes to the point where there's 2-3 minutes to go in a game and it's a 2 or 3 possession game, hopefully by this time of the year, it's a situation that we're ready for. We know what plays we want to run. We know what we have to do defensively to close out these games and win. And obviously, making free throws is a big part of that. And I think when you look at the games we've won, it's because we've stepped up and made free throws. And probably the ones we've lost have been games where, unfortunately, we just haven't gone to the line and closed out a game like we should.
I want to turn now to a question from Greg from Camillus, and he asked you, Steve, what are some of the ways you help the team build chemistry during the season?
Well, I think one of the ways you just you come together as a team just with the amount of time that we spend together. I think over break, there's a lot of time that we're here when there's no other students. And I think that you build on that, just being around each other, and getting to know each other better. I think all that helps us grow as a team throughout the year. Winning helps. I think when you win, everyone's a little bit happier seeing each other every day. But also, sometimes I think it's the struggle when you lose a few games and you find out the character of each person, whether it's the person that's out there playing or whether it's the kids on the bench. Are they still cheering? Are they still coming to practice and working hard? I think all that stuff helps us with our chemistry as the year goes on. And it's a tough league because if you just look through it top to bottom, everybody every night can get beat by anybody. So it's not an easy league when you lose one or two, and you definitely find out the character of your team when you go through those stretches.
One last question now for me, Steve, before we let you go. What's been, looking back at the season as a whole, what's been your favorite moment coaching this team?
Oh, geez, there's been so many. The little moments that you have are always special every year. Seeing kids grow, mature a little bit as players and as individuals. But I thought the other night was probably the best moment of our season because we really got to enjoy a game where we passed the ball well and we played well. It's also against a team, Assumption. Early on in the year, we played them at their place, probably our worst game of the season. You're going to have games where things just don't go your way, and that was kind of our day there in Worcester, Mass. A few months ago. And to turn it around and beat a team by 20 points that had previously beaten us by that many was really satisfying, I think, not only for the guys, but as far as the coaching staff. I think we really took a lot of pride in that, and it's a good way to finish the season on Senior Day.
Well, thanks, Steve. Good luck the rest of the season, and we'll take a short break and be right back.
Thank you very much.
And we're back on Inside Moyne Athletics with head baseball coach Scott Cassidy. And Scott, it's your first season coaching this team. It's your last season at Division I. So what's the transition period been like both for you entering the situation and the team going down to D2 after this year?
I think it's been an interesting one up to this point. Originally, when we first were told that we were going to transition, there was a little bit of apprehension about the whole situation, especially from alumni and friends of the program that have been involved with it for so many years. I think after we look at it a little bit closer, we realized the opportunities that it presents for us, being able to play postseason, get some postseason awards, and even awards throughout the year, gives the kids a chance to play for something, which is really going to make it exciting as we move forward.
And you, of course, also are an alum of this program, played professionally, parts of 3 seasons with Boston and Toronto and San Diego. So how do you bring that experience back here, and how does that help you as a college coach?
Well, I think playing here, for one, is really going to help me with the players. I can talk about my experiences here, especially when with recruiting, and then going forward to play pro ball. All of our players have that ambition of playing professionally when they get out of here. And being myself, coming from a guy that was cut in high school and then came here after I redshirted at a different school and got the opportunity to play here and go on and work hard and put my skills to use professionally, it shows the guys that are here that if they continue to work hard and do what they're supposed to do, that can happen.
And you mentioned the recruiting process. Can you talk a little bit about that, what it's like, and what's the most difficult aspect of it here in CNY?
Snow. Being a baseball team, we're indoors all winter, and we're challenging for gym time, and we can't really get outside and get any fly balls, even though we did a couple times now with the new turf field. But it's tough to get kids from the south to come up here because they're always playing outside down there. But we have a lot of talent up in central New York and the surrounding states that because of the past that we've had and the strong program, it doesn't affect us too much getting good players to come in here.
And you just went down south for a series against Texas A&M, one of the best teams in the country, to open the season. How does that help you guys as a team to play some of the best to get ready for the rest of the season?
It helps to get out there and play, but when you get beat, it's not always the greatest. But it gave us a chance to see where we're at, see what things we need to work on going forward as we move on. We have a very tough schedule, and to be able to get out there early, play against the best competition in the country, we realized, what we need to work on and what we do well. And we did see some positive things, even though we got swept during the weekend. We hit the ball well, hard at times, right at people. We had some good pitching performances, so we can build on those as we move forward down the season.
And Jeff Tardif was solid on the mound in Game 1, a game that you lost 3-1 to the Aggies. The team lost a lot of offensive production from last season, namely Chris Edmondson, who was one of the greatest power hitters in program history. So who are you looking to that will help fill some of those holes on offense?
It's impossible to replace Chris Edmondson. He broke all the records offensively here at the program. We have a different dynamic this year as a team. We're going to have to rely a little bit more on speed, base running, and playing some good defense. And I think our strength is going to be our pitching. And like you touched on, I think Jeff Tardif we're going to have to jump on his shoulders for Game 1. He's been the ace for 3 years. I think it's good to rely on him and Corey Nelson as well, backing him up in the number 2 spot. But we have some good freshmen that are gonna pick up the slack a little bit, and we need our hitters like Brett Botsford and Matt Mara to really capitalize on their opportunities and have good seasons.
And lastly, Coach, what's your biggest goal for this season for the team? Like, what do you want them to get out of it the most?
Well, I want that. We're striving to make a regional. It's tough being an independent team because we don't have a conference to rely on right now and have a conference tournament with an automatic bid. But if we can string together a bunch of wins, then get an at-large bid in the tournament and see what happens from there. But if that doesn't happen, we want to continue to be a strong team, above 500 team with a tough schedule that we have, and take those positive things that we have done in Division I throughout the past and go into Division II and make an immediate impact nationally.
Thanks, Coach. That was Scott Cassidy, coach of the baseball team. We'll be back in 60 seconds with the women's lacrosse head coach, Beth Hewitt. I'm joined now by women's lacrosse head coach Beth Hewitt, along with Narissa Barzee to her left. And I want to talk to both of you right off the bat about your transition to Division II after a solid 9-6 season last year, your last year at D1, when you lost your first 3 but then went on a 7-game winning streak. So building off that, going down to D2, what's your preparation been like for the season?
It's definitely changed a lot of things this year, just knowing that every game we play means something. Playing independently, we definitely had the ability to play some of the bigger schools, and some big names got to come in here, which was great. But now we're in a situation where the girls have something to play for, and being in such a good conference as the Northeast 10 is, every game we go into, we have to be ready for mentally and physically. So we're excited about it.
I definitely agree with Beth that our practices really count now, and everything matters. So what we do, every game is going to count. And I think our mentality on our team is just go all out every practice and give everything we have. And I definitely see a change in the team.
A lot of seniors on this team. You've played together for a long time. So how does that help you going into this season? Obviously, you're very familiar with each other, what everyone does. So do you kind of use that as a bit of a luxury going in?
The senior class has been outstanding. They've been through a lot in coming in thinking they were playing in the MAC conference, getting transitioned into an independent situation, and now changing to Division II. And they've really been the ones to lead this program through the transition and, put a positive spin on everything that's been happening. And really, again, like Narissa was saying, pushing everyone every single day in practice, knowing that there's something to play for. They've been the change, and they're the ones really guiding the team at this point.
And I want to talk to you, Narissa, specifically. Last season, you switched to play defense, which is obviously a big change for you, but you handled it very well. You still scored 11 goals, which is not too shabby for a defenseman. So why the change, and how did you deal with that?
Last year we kind of needed a little bit more leadership on defense. We have Caitlin Walker, who's awesome, and she's definitely our defensive leader. But I think we needed a little bit more vocal on defense, and our coach was willing to try me out on defense, and it worked out for the better. And I definitely think I still have the midfield mentality, but I also have a little bit more on defense, and I don't mind it. I really like playing defense. It's kind of my strong point, so I didn't mind it.
The team's ranked fourth in the preseason polls. We know the men's lacrosse team is always a perennial powerhouse. There is a chance that we could have both men's and women's lacrosse national championships this season. We might be getting ahead of ourselves here, but have you talked about that at all with the team?
We definitely talk about it. I mean, with the transition, I think that's something that really was exciting for the team to even think about. We don't put a lot of focus on it just because, again, everything is so new to us. Every conference opponent is new. Every opponent in general is brand new to us. And so, the ranking is great, but really means nothing to us. I mean, we have to worry about what we do on the field, be ready every single day. And, I mean, we understand we have a target on our backs as soon as we get into our first game. So, obviously we'd love to win every single game, but we've got a lot of work ahead of us.
And can you talk about some of the big games on your schedule? I know you play number 1 Adelphi in the conference. There's a lot of really good teams in the Northeast 10.
Yeah, Adelphi obviously being the powerhouse, they've, won a number of years. It's Adelphi, it's Stonehill's really improved their program, Merrimack as well. So the Northeast 10 really right now for women's is the best conference in Division II. So I think it's a great home for us. It has great competition each week. But again, to us, everybody is an important opponent because we haven't played anybody.
Which is good for you maybe and bad for them. They don't know what to
Right.
expect.
True.
And also, I just want to ask both of you about the new turf field. First of all, it's very awesome. And how's that affected your preparation? Have you been able to practice outside where in the past you've been kind of stuck indoors until the season started?
Yeah, it's definitely changed practice, especially for the preseason, allowing us to work on, transition, get the team up and down the field, just going outside and playing in the colder air. It's definitely been a huge improvement. Obviously, we have days where we still have to go indoors, but just to get out there every few days has really been a big improvement for practice.
Yeah, like what Coach said, we definitely feel like it's changed a lot. We can do midfield transition. We can do everything that we need to do before our first game. Usually before we're stuck inside, you can't do anything. I mean, you can do things, but it's nothing like being out on the turf. And you can definitely feel like the change in our the way we practice and the way we play.
That's Beth Hewitt along with Narissa Barzee for the women's lacrosse team. They open their season on Friday, March 4th at 3 against East Stroudsburg. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Let's talk some softball now on Inside Moyne Athletics. Kenny Copps here with head coach Tina Plew-Whitlock and Brenna Klein. Tina, let's start with you. The team last year went 23-20, missed the NCAA tournament. This was 1 year after going 45-13 and advancing all the way to the College World Series. So after being there in 2009, missing out on the big dance in 2010, how does that change your preparation and your desire going into the 2011 season?
Well, anytime you win a championship, and the first year that I came into the program, not only did we won one, we won three, and in addition to going to the World Series. And anytime you do that, there's an extra pressure to return. And in looking back at last year's season, the one thing that we had championship talent. We just, as a whole, didn't have quite that championship attitude that we had the first year we went to the World Series. This year, we're really working on trying to develop a good attitude, a positive attitude, that attitude that's going to see an obstacle and a challenge and see a way around it or through it. And that's what we're working on this season.
One of the biggest challenges you face is the loss of three very important seniors on offense, Bailey Phillips and Danielle Van Gorder. There's two of your corner outfielders, and then Kelly Schweikert at second base, one of the greatest hitters in the history of Moyne softball. So who picks up the slack offensively this year?
Well, our junior class certainly offers up maturity and power at the plate. We have Barb J, Leah Ford, are two young ladies that have participated in the weight room activities that we've put together, and they have trained hard and mentally, again, just have matured. And I really think that they're going to come through for us. But graduating the three seniors we did last year, we will definitely take a hit. But at the same time, I think coming in, we have some freshmen that will offer up some surprising moments for this season.
And you're going to test the pitching staff early. You begin with 10 games in 4 days starting in early March. So that's going to be a pretty hectic stretch for you.
Yeah, last year we had the opportunity to go down south and play the top teams in the country right off, and usually those teams have anywhere between 15 to 20 games under their belt, and when you put that on top of playing the top teams, it always can be intimidating. But we wouldn't put our girls on a schedule that we didn't feel confident that they could achieve success, or even see success even if we had a not so good outing. I think that they're going to be very capable of doing well down there.
And now, Brenna, I wanted to ask you something. You, of course, being a native of California, why Lemoyne and why the 6 months of winter?
I actually wonder that sometimes myself, but it's beautiful out here. It is cold, but I feel like it just makes it that much better to finally be able to get out on some dirt, and it makes us better players to have to work inside. We just have to work that much harder in the gym, and then we're that much more excited to get out on the field and experience some good weather.
Well, thanks. That's Tina Plewhitlock and Brenna Klein. Their season begins on Saturday, March 5th. Best of luck this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back to talk about some men's lacrosse in 60 seconds. And we're back on Inside Lemoyne Athletics. I'm now joined by men's lacrosse head coach Dan Sheehan and junior defender Chris Aubertine. Dan, you're coming off the heels of yet another very successful season, 15 wins and a trip to the national championship game. And this year is a new wrinkle in the program with a new turf field. I know we've talked about it extensively already, but you guys were out there practicing in the fall, again out here in the snow. And a similar question to what I asked Beth Hewitt. How's that changed and maybe improved your off-season preparation?
Yeah, it's certainly put us on a little bit more of an even keel with our competition, being able to get outside. It's one of those things. It's one of the first questions that people ask you is with this new turf field, and my response is, hopefully things can only get better. It's a great opportunity to use the space. It allows probably the biggest advantage will be our offense. I think in the gym, you've got those walls that just seem to get smaller and smaller every year. So being able to get outside, take advantage of the space is just, it's been fantastic so far.
And let's talk a little defense now that we have Chris here. Your defense has been solid, among the best every single season. So what's the key to your defensive success for both of you?
Well, I think, it starts with the individual effort and the preparation that these guys put in. Game days are an opportunity to put everything into play that you've worked so hard, not just that week in practice, but in the weight room in the off season. And then we try to put our guys in position to allow them to make some plays as well, by not handcuffing them too much. And we're pretty fortunate to have a very athletic defense this year, and Chris is certainly one of those guys.
Yeah, with our defense, we got Mike Carboyne, who's doing a great job in the middle. We got Josh Klepfer, who's in there this year as well. And we got Alex Cameron Carter. The other three, including me especially, it helps with having a goalie like Jeff White. And this year, there's a lot more leadership on the defense, and we're a lot more vocal instead. And everybody seems to know what they're going to do one step ahead of what happens.
A lot of leadership in general on offense. You have a great senior class on offense. Guys like Jack Vendetti, Jack Harmatuck, Matt Chatterton, the list goes on and on. They've played together for 3 seasons now for the most part. Harmatuck for the last 2, and they've been outstanding. But they've been to the championship game 3 years in a row, and they've lost it all 3 times. So this is their last chance to go out on top. Have you noticed anything different because of that in their approach going into this season, knowing that this is their last shot?
It's certainly a very talented group. Not a group of big talkers. I think that they're doers, and I think they're smart enough to understand that we've been down this road before a couple of times, and this is a senior class that they completely are aware of what happened the last 3 years. I think the big key for this group this year is really going to be there's one ball, and we have the ability to put 6 talented kids out there offensively. So, how they handle moving the ball around, and 60 minutes is a long time for everybody to get their touches. So that I think is going to be our a deciding factor to us to our offensive success.
And that's a question here for both of you. It seems like every year you guys are in national championship contention. It kind of spoils us here as students or fans of Lemoyne lacrosse, but you can't take any win for granted. You got to win every single game. So, can you walk us through some of the big games on your schedule this season?
Well, our biggest game this season is on Saturday when we open up with Seton Hill. In the world of Division II lacrosse, there was a team last year that had one loss and didn't make it to the NCAA tournament. So people think that this is cliche, but it really is. It's your biggest game is your next game, and I think that's the one thing in our program that we've done a very good job at everywhere from the staff down to the locker room. That these kids are focused on their next game, and that's their biggest game.
Yeah, just going along with what Coach said, every week and every game, you got to understand with being Lemoyne lacrosse, we got a big reputation, so every team's going to come out wanting to beat you and get on top. So you got to treat every game as if you have to win and get better week by week, and every game is really what counts. Like Coach said, one team had one loss and didn't make it to the NCAA tournament, so you got to treat every game like it's either win or nothing.
Now we have a question from Dan from Baldwinsville, and this is for both of you, I guess. It's Dan wonders, what is off-season training like, and how do you condition the team to be ready to start the season?
This season we had a tremendous opportunity to work with Corey Parker at Strength in Motion, both at his facility and our facility here at Lemoyne College. And that period of time from your fall season, in between the fall and the start of your spring season, it's a extremely important time when we've got to start getting bigger, stronger, and faster. And then you send the kids home for Christmas break, and you hope that they see the benefits, feel the benefits, and continue that right through the Christmas break before they show up for preseason camp here in January.
Yeah, just going along with what Coach said, obviously we went to Strength in Motion with Corey Parker, and everybody's working hard doing that. But it's also on the individual themselves on getting in the weight room themselves and doing what they need to do individually to make them a better player, and watching film and running and lifting, and everything all comes together into one. And it's a lot of dedication, and it's a lot of hard work, and in the end it hopefully will pay off.
All right, well, thanks, guys. Head coach Dan Sheehan, Chris Aubertine open their season this Saturday at home against Seton Hill at 1. We'll be back for our final segment in 60 seconds. And we're back here on Inside Lemoyne Athletics for our final segment. A couple of members from the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. It's our president, Michelle Murray, and to her left, the treasurer, Krista Prentice, a couple of seniors from the volleyball team here. And ladies, let's talk first of all about the role of SAC. Like, say I'm an ignorant Lemoyne freshman, and I don't know anything about this school. What does SAC do?
Well, basically, we have 2 representatives from each team, and they are. They come to all of the meetings, which are once a month, and we pretty much update the entire athletic community about what's going on each team, what we can look forward to from their teams, big games that we want to publicize with our game day environment committee, and we talk about things that are important to the athletic community and things that we want to change, and we hear a lot of speakers talk every now and then. We work on Make-A-Wish.
Yep.
Yeah, so can you talk a little bit about your Make-A-Wish efforts?
For Make-A-Wish, we try and raise enough money in order to grant a wish, we did that last year, and we have to raise $7,000 in order to grant a wish. And our major initiative is the Blacklight Dance, which is coming up at the end of March.
25th. Come on down. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's a big fundraiser for our Make-A-Wish.
And how much money do you typically raise? Or, how much have you raised in the past?
Well, last year was the best year under our president, Lindsay Gleason, also a volleyball player. And we raised over $7,000, so that was really exciting. I think it was the first time Moyne was able to actually grant a Make-A-Wish kid a wish. So that was really special for us and for that child.
And hopefully this year we have that ability again.
And so as both of you as members of SAC, what's the most rewarding part of being a member of this community, or committee rather?
I think it's great that we get to work with the administration and we get to really voice our opinions, because SAC has come so far, even within the past 4 years, We've been able to do so much, and we have a community outreach program where we do Fanatics About Reading, and we read to the students at H.D. Smith, so that's a nice thing that we can do for the community. For the athletic community, we're able to publicize more games and get a lot of fans down there, and pretty much just make a better experience for our student athletes.
Yeah, definitely.
And as seniors, of course, you'll be gone come the fall. But does SAC have anything else it's looking to do to maybe expand its reach come next year?
This year, Matt Bassett, our athletic director, was talking about the national stage that SAC is on. So hopefully we'll try and get our representatives to be more involved on the national scale, which would be really nice. We sent Nick Cutter and Katie Plukas to Providence
for a conference.
So they got really involved, and hopefully maybe they'll be the leaders next year and encourage the national stage for SAC at Moyne.
Well, keep up the good work, ladies. That's Michelle Murray, President, and Krista Prentice, Treasurer of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. I'm Kenny Copps here for Inside Lemoyne Athletics. That's going to wrap up our inaugural edition. It was a lot of fun. Hope you join us again next time here at the Lemoyne Plaza on Inside Lemoyne Athletics.